Well, welcome back to another episode of Uplifting Buzz podcast, and we are grateful to have everyone back with us on this awesome and wonderful Tuesday, the first Tuesday in the month of December, the last month of 2025, and we are back for another show with my wonderful co-host, Mr. Marcus Grove, and I'm so glad to have him back in our studios as well. From a little break, we took off for about a week and a couple of days, so we can regroup and continue to bring you the very best in news and that you could depend on and dissect and have a dialogue with us about. This show is being presented to you by Buzz Report Media and Uplift Mobile, and we are bringing you a non-biased show, a non-biased conversation where non-biased conversations happens on this show. We do not take sides with one or the other. We just bring you the facts as we have a non-biased dialogue about what's happening in and around our community. And that being said, we're going to get right into our show on today. So we are full. Well, some of us are full from all of the turkeys and hams and chicken and whatever fish that we all gobbled up on Thanksgiving. And so, Mr. Grove, you were sharing with me, man, you hate yourself to death and had you a good time. I kind of fell back this Thanksgiving. I'm hoping to pick it back up for Christmas. But yeah, I fell back for Thanksgiving, man. But so it seems like you had yourself a great time for Thanksgiving and enjoyed family and got some good food within.
Oh, yes, I did. One of the most amazing turkeys I've ever had. I do thank God for that. And family was enjoyable. It was nice and cool, as I remember, and it was a good time. It was a good time. I'm looking forward to Christmas, see what all this month has to bring, and looking forward to the show.
Yes, yes. So let me ask, did you have fried turkey or was it just a regular traditional turkey?
It was neither. It was actually um, some recipe off of TikTok or just my dad's doing, but it wasn't the regular carved turkey. It wasn't fried. It was smothered and it was so
Oh, yeah. That sounds
good.
good.
Lots of spices, so the next day when I actually seen the vice president, JD Vance, say, turkey is nasty and, who in here likes turkey and all of that kind of stuff. That regular carved turkey, I think is just so outdated. So, but it was amazing, the best I've ever had for sure.
Yeah, JD Vance. I mean, he maybe he should have ate some turkey of some sort for Thanksgiving. Maybe that would have helped him get his mind back in the right place and state of mind. Maybe it would have been a good dose of medication for him. Uh, man, but you saying that, man, I'm telling you. Well, I mean, I didn't eat much for Thanksgiving. I did eat some food, but I kind of, I really wasn't really feeling Thanksgiving this year. To be honest with you, to be transparent about it. I just, it just wasn't in my spirit. As I normally would celebrate Thanksgiving. So I kind of chilled for Thanksgiving, stayed in the house, watched some movies with the kids. Everybody was, texting and calling. I mean, anti-social and all that type of stuff. They want to come around. Well, it wasn't that. I just felt that, it was a personal time. It was just, time that was needed, just to, be thankful and just, just be glad to be here. And just take some time away from all of the things that may have, just been happening, man. It's a lot been, transpiring. And I don't think I was the only one that was feeling the way that would, that would be many felt the same way. But nevertheless, it was a great Thanksgiving. And I'm glad that I was here to see it and be thankful for all the good things, what are the bad things, we all gonna have some good days and some bad days in life. But I'm just glad to be here and to celebrate Thanksgiving for 2025. And this month now is Christmas, man. It's time to spend some money. Something I don't want to do, but hey, it is what it is. And also my birthday month. Two of my other siblings' birthdays this month as well. The day after Christmas is one of my brother's birthday on December 26th, and my birthday on the 31st, the last day of this year. And then my other brother, January 1st, the first day of the new year. If we celebrate Christmas together, we don't get anything for our birthday. And if we don't want things for Christmas, we get something for our birthday. And then sometimes we don't even get that for our birthday. I'm in a messed up time of the year. But nonetheless, we're going to have a great Christmas, man. I'm kind of into Christmas spirit, and I'm kind of not. I was thinking about putting some decoration out there in the yard and around the house, putting my Christmas tree up. That was my plans for Thanksgiving weekend, but the Christmas tree it's up, but ain't no decorations on it. And we'll see how this weekend go, because this weekend, it's a group of us, man. We're going to New Orleans on the Amtrak for to try it out, spend some money with Amtrak, and it's about 10 of us going down, spend the day and come back on Saturday night. And see what this Amtrak is all about, and what all the talk about, and just support the train. So because it's here in our city, we want it to be successful, and we want it to stick around. So we're taking 10 people on this trip, and we're planning to go back on next year and start riding more often, at least once a month. To be supportive of the train, even though we could drive down there, but hey. Why not just sit back and relax and have a conversation and let somebody else do the driving? So that's what we plan on doing. Do you have a big Christmas in mind, or are you feeling the Christmas spirit?
Yeah. I haven't gotten to actually on Thanksgiving. I start playing a little bit of Christmas music. I'm getting there. I think this cold weather coming in would definitely assist with that for sure. But yeah, I'm feeling it. I seen in the news where the president Donald Trump wants to bring back the Merry Christmas part, so he's definitely feeling it. Which is in contrast to how he's been, acting, often people down there close to Venezuela. It's just such a contradiction, in my opinion. But I'm definitely feeling it and ready to enjoy it for sure. It's the second day of December, so 23 days away.
Yeah, and whether we're ready or not, man, it's here and it's coming quickly. Yeah, so yeah, one more Christmas is almost here. All of that being said, man, like I said, always as we leave the airways and come back for another episode of Uplifting Buzz podcast, there's always developing news, developing topics of things that are happening that affect our communities here locally, and around the globe. For wherever the people, our listeners may be listening to us from. And here locally, man, one of the heavy topics that you've been following, which is the District 2 race, and I know people tired of us talking about it, but hey, it's happening, and it has finally come to a head. That the judge ruled in the Mobile City Council race for District 2 in that election challenge. You want to give us an update with them?
Yeah, Ingram prevailed. All right. I think that in a lot of ways, the judgment, I did read the judgment by Judge Hambright, and, it was a lot of, different conjecture with law and state law and county, the 90-day rule and the Zogby Act with the 365-day rule in Zogby Act. It was just a lot of back and forth. I think that Judge Hambright ruled just like a lot of these judges do, based on the facts that William Carroll did not present his part in satisfactory manner, regardless of what the case may have been. It was it was basically dismissed. She dismissed it, and she is basically dismissed like a lot of them are, and failure to on the plaintiff's part to state a claim until which relief can be granted. And I think that it's just one of those, you know, I think that judges have a lot of power and leeway in this country, and in a lot of ways, that's a good thing. But at the same time, it was just a lot of conjecture back and forth in the written form, right? Stuff that it was distinct. It was 12 pages long, and to be honest, I think that if you wasn't there at the actual court case, it would have been confusing to even try to read or figure out what actually happened. But it was a fight nonetheless against the Zogby Act, and the Zogby Act lost in this respect. I don't think that it threw the Zogby Act out at all, but it basically allowed the Zogby Act to be followed in this case, and the state law to prevail. At the end of the day, Judge Hambright did rule that that the many individuals who put the state law in place knew or would have known about the Zogby Act, and if they had any other county law, and they would have put that distinguishedly in the actual language of the law that was presented. So because it wasn't, and because she could not find any type of understanding in that, and also her communication with the Alabama Law Commission, she ruled in Samantha Ingram's favor. So I congratulate her in that. I think that that's what most people wanted. At the same time, now, my take on it is, what happened to the bond? The bond that was paid is kind of, a continuation of that as well.
Yeah, and that's what I'm sitting here thinking, man. I've been thinking about that throughout this little period of time that we've been away since this had came. Matter of fact, it came down the same day about last episode here on Uplift and Buzz, like an hour later, maybe 30 minutes later, when we signed off, the ruling was issued, and I was like, wow. And we were just saying that, we was expecting it to come shortly and soon, and bam, there you go. But former councilman William Carroll, man, I just believe that he lost $25,000. I mean, he just threw away $25,000 trying to keep his seat, or win a new election where he can regain his seat. That's a big loss. That but he fought. He fought for what he thought was right. But he just at the end he lost. It was a surprise ruling too, man, because a lot of people thought the Zogby Act would outweigh the state law, being a city ordinance controlling city government and the elections of the city government here in locally in Mobile. Now, my question now is, in the future, for future elections for Mobile, the Zogby Act don't matter, because now, if anything becomes a challenge to any future elections here in Mobile, they can refer back to this case now and say, "Well, this is what happened. It doesn't matter."
Right.
So, I mean, people just can pop up and just start running for office.
Right. And that's what the final page of the judgment did say. It said basically that the law that was passed, the state law in 2003, implied that the Zogby Act was repealed. All right. So that's the exact language that Judge Hambright used. the Zogby Act was impliedly repealed. The 1 year Zogby Act city residence requirement. And so, in this case, what we're looking at now is the Zogby Act in the time frame of 365 days is no longer.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, I really do believe that this is going to create a challenge for future elections. When you start seeing all these people start popping up running for office, and they don't meet the window set out in the Zogby Act, and they can just use state law and say I am qualified, regardless of what you said in your city ordinance. That's very contradicting. Now I'm not against Ingram. I'm not. I don't want anybody to think that. I'm all for the rule of law. That was established. But it is what it is, man. She's Councilwoman Ingram, and we just respect that as it is. But I do see where this. On the other hand, it's kind of tricky because, and I mentioned this to you in the past about Tully Tuberville running for governor, and she would have ruled that in the basis of timeline to meet the qualifications of a candidate here in Alabama dealing with law, that could have hurt Tubby Tuberville in 2026 because then you would have allowed individuals to challenge his candidacy based on statutory law about the time period is required for you to be a resident of the state of Alabama. And I think she kind of left that window open to allow him. I mean, she's a Republican, he's a Republican, and didn't want any challenge in the future against candidates. And knowing that he was possibly one or the top candidate that could get challenged in 2026. And not to say it's not going to happen. I mean, I'm pretty sure it still may come. But that ruling that she would issue one would have been kind of in the way of Tommy Tuberville in 2026 as well.
Yeah. We all know that Tommy Tuberville is moving about, doing his thing in D.C., Florida, his home in Florida, and also in Alabama. It's going to come down to obviously where his tax exemption is, and his tax exemption is at his home in Alabama, and that's been clearly stated that he is paying property taxes for his home in Florida, his vacation home, and so I just really feel like Democrats really need to pull together in this respect. Republicans have had a leading charge in the state of Alabama since Southern Democrats, went to the other side of being Republican after the civil rights movement. So in his respect, I think he's in the clear when it comes down to this law, and obviously shooting down the Zogby Act nullifies that doubly so.
Right, yeah, and that brings us to talk about Doug Jones, man. Former Senator Doug Jones have officially declared that he's running for governor of Alabama. He filed his paperwork with the Secretary of State, and he's now a candidate for governor of Alabama, and he'll be running on a Democratic ticket. And this is going to be a rematch between him and possibly him and Tuberville in 2026. What are the chances of Doug Jones winning this governor race? First, I know he got to get out of the primary, and I do see him as a strong candidate getting out the primary without a runoff. But what is the chances of you thinking that he can become the governor of Alabama in 2026?
All things are possible. I think that for Democrats in the state of Alabama, they do command a strong number that just do not go out to vote. For a Democrat to win governor of Alabama at this point, they'll have to have the popularity of someone like Don Singleton had, years ago. I just in this climate, political climate, I just think that in order to garnish those votes, you have to get into those predominantly black neighborhoods. Without that, the Democratic vote is just not going to be as strong. You're going to have people that don't go for Tommy Tuberville who are Republican. Yes, because we are seeing disunity in the Republican fight. However, Alabama being one of the uh, founding states of the Confederacy, we do see um, a strong leaning towards keeping that conservative mindset intact. And so, with that being said, we know who Tommy Tuberville is. We know who he goes for, what his ideology is. And so in order to keep that conservative Confederate type of, the South will rise again mindset intact, I think that a lot of Republicans who just don't believe in this MAGA thing anymore will still vote for Tommy Tuberville. In and of itself, it doesn't matter who it is, that Doug Jones or Shamari Figures, whoever it is, they need to embed themselves into these black communities. And without that, the voter turnout would be something similar to Barbara Drummond, and unfortunately, that's just the case. Lack of commitment, lack of enthusiasm to get to the poll.
Yeah, when Donald Trump first ran for president, he spoke to the silent Republican Party, the silent voters, the voters that normally don't go to the polls to vote. Turned out, he woke them up and he turned them out to vote, and he won. And my question now is, here in Alabama, can Doug Jones do the same as Donald Trump did? Go out, deliver a message, and wake up the silent voters that don't normally vote, turn them out to the polls to vote in numbers that can possibly flip the government mansion from Republican to Democrat, and pull, because Doug Jones is not actually a really solid progressive politician. He's more of a moderate politician. And will he incorporate some moderate ideals to pull Republican votes from Tuberville, and then also energize that silent base, that sleeping vote that doesn't normally go out and vote in rural areas, and also in some urban areas, but mostly out in the rural areas in the counties, and get them to come back and vote for a Democrat. And there's a lot of tainted politics right now from Washington that are affecting a lot of our rural areas, such as hospitals, our farmers, education, our businesses with the tariffs, and killing these businesses, especially small businesses. Will he deliver a message that will wake them up and realize his plan will be better than Tommy Tuberville's plan?
Mm-hmm.
That's the big question that that's out there. He already have the name recognition. He already had the political connection to donors. He gonna have to sell them a plan to give more money. He gonna need to raise about $3 to $5 million to be very competitive against Tuberville. Tuberville already got $7 million in the bank, and he gonna raise more. Wow. But I'm pretty sure political PAC's gonna come behind Doug Jones and spend money. But Doug Jones needs at least a minimum of $5 million himself to have a good competitive campaign here in Alabama. But the message is what matters. The platform and the message, getting out and turning out these voters to the polls.
Yeah. Yeah, and that boils down to having money, like you said, being able to advertise through media, and not only through mega news channels in Alabama, but also through smaller news channels in Alabama. Getting people, organized. And in order to do it does cost money. It does cost money, and so that's where always the dividing factor is, right? So um, it's gonna have to be a lot of money pushed to his campaign for sure.
Most definitely, man. Yeah, most definitely. And in order to, at least come close, he's going to have to, and I watch candidates that run for these statewide offices, congressional, office, period. We often go to these established organizations, meeting them on a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, or Monday night. We go to these big churches and try to get those endorsements for photo ops and the business community. But we neglect the small towns, the rural areas that's needing help, and they feel this disconnect between them and these politicians. Doug Jones can come down to my neighborhood or my county or my area and talk to us.
Mm-hmm.
Every 6 to 7 county in Alabama needs to have his presence physically.
Yeah.
Move out throughout these. I know you say you have a campaign, grassroots campaign staff and team, but they are not the ones that are people voting for. They're voting for an individual, and that individual need to make themselves available and go talk to these people. Every county in various parts of the county should see this candidate at least 3 times out of the whole campaign season, and they give me a coverage for that county. Just move around in that county, but it's going to take mobilizing. When you say mobilizing voters, it's more than just putting spending money to put a flyer, postcard in the mail, a phone call, a text message, or a TV ad, a radio ad. Man, it takes boots on the ground. It takes you getting out there, shaking some hands, and letting people know that you're serious. That's how you mobilize voters and turn out to vote, and getting these people uh, into uh, office. And Democrats have to also say themselves, especially with this national rift that's happening in Washington. Because a lot of people feeling that Democrats are letting them down and not fighting hard enough for them. And Democrats have a little bit of explaining to do too, what their plans are and how they want to continue to fight, and what they're planning to do to protect the citizens of this country, and how they're gonna make their life more affordable. We need to talk about high rent, high mortgage rates, how high food prices, high gas prices, the cost of goods, closing of hospitals, the affordability of medicine. That's your core base. People are hurting, and the rich people not hurting. Only thing they're worried about is being divisive and hate towards the working class and the poor class of this country. And the immigrants that have built this country or help and continue to build this country. That's their agenda. But like I said, it's going to take the messaging and the candidate himself to get out there to mobilize and turn out this vote, and it's possible. And like you said, all things are possible. It is possible.
Yeah, definitely. He would have to, get with those some of those newly elected representatives, mayors. Um, he would basically have to show face, and get away from. I would love to see him be one of those ones who get away from, that party seclusion type of mindset that Republicans have garnished in this last, during this Trump era, and be just for all people, it comes down to being for all people, making every situation a lot better, trying to, build up not only uh, Democrats, but also, everybody. Forget about this Democrat Republican thing, because really it's divisive, it's fruitless. When you get a president that continues this party division when they get into office, it garnishes bad vibes. It garnishes division in the country. Um, you know, I really dislike that. I understand running for your party, but when you have judges who are really siding with their own political agenda, it really turns out to be a bad look, a bad thing for citizens that may be assumed to be for the other party.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and for Doug Jones, I think that if he embeds himself not only in these rural and also every single county in Alabama, I think that if he also goes into those conservative areas, the likeliness of that they see upon him just by seeing his face may sway their ideals for and realize, okay, he's the better candidate versus Tommy Tuberville, who is really you know on that hillbillyism, like JD Vance. you
Yeah.
know um, Go for somebody who's a little bit more educated. Go for somebody who's, because in reality, if you compare the last presidential election and really look at who's more educated, they voted for the less educated person. I mean, Donald Trump has a bachelor's degree and that's it. I mean, I just think that, in a lot of ways, we, especially conservatives, have time and time again gone against the best just to appeal to their own selfish wants and needs. So Doug Jones has it all in compared to Tommy Tuberville. And we should just leave it at that, you know, and vote for the right person.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, man. Doug Jones have everything that you could check off for a candidate to be an effective leader for the state of Alabama. And Tuberville is just somebody just around here just making noise, rubber stamping, trying to follow the footsteps of somebody else that really doesn't have a role model and leadership skills. So he came and named the branches of government. So he don't even know where, he just walking and don't know the ground he's walking on. Just to be honest with you. So, yeah, as I promised, man, we were going to do a short episode on today, a 30-minute show. Again, this has been another episode of Uplifting Buzz podcast, and we are grateful to have you with us here on Uplifting Buzz podcast each and every week, and every time we come your way. Enjoy you joining us here on Uplifting Buzz podcast. We're going to do this all over again on Thursday, but before we get out of here, man, we do know that open enrollment ends on the 7th. And you are still in the business of helping people find the correct health plan that they need to have moving to 2026, or trying to find the right Medicare plan. So you want to share your email address and your website again, and how you can help those last minute stragglers are trying to get their health care in order.
Yes, and so you're exactly right. We have been getting lots of calls, lots of emails, last minute stragglers trying to change their plans or get into a better plan or just get enrolled into a plan. And it's one of those things that I think that as at least they're calling and trying to get it done before the 7th. The 7th is on Sunday. So if you are in need of Medicare enrollment, the open enrollment season for Medicare is coming to a close. This is the last week. So go to www.workwithgip.com and we can assist you with all your Medicare plans. We can answer any questions that you have. And so contact us. We're standing by the phones and ready for you to let us know what you need, what you're in need of. You will have to let us know any type of medications you have or that you take. We'll enter into the system and give you the best plan possible.
All right, that's what we need to hear. So y'all heard it for yourself. Y'all got that information. Please contact Mr. Grove and his team and let them assist you and making sure that you have the right Medicare plan or the right healthcare plan moving into 2026. And you don't want to be uncovered. You want to be covered the right and correct way. This has been the Uplifting Buzz podcast. Until we do this all over again on Thursday, we ask you to be blessed. Stay warm on tonight, and please stay out of trouble. God bless you.